Good morning from California. It's 9 a.m. I hear you, California. You're like, don't be just saying lunchtime. Some of us get up at breakfast time to be here. Thank you. Thank you, California, and people from all different time zones. I'm so excited that you took time out of your busy day. I know this is a busy time of year. I know it's a busy time of year for us. And it's probably one of our most overwhelming times of the year. And after much thought about webinars, we thought, why don't we share, how we make the holidays happen, particularly with the youth that most of us are serving, youth who, coming from all kinds of background, trauma, et cetera, et cetera. I don't need to go on. If you're here, you probably work with that population of youth. So what I'm going to do is jump right in for those of us who've been here on time, so that we can. I have a great bunch of folks that are here today on my panel that I truly love and respect, and I'm just sure that you'll get a lot from them. So I'll just start by introducing Ann Wilkinson, who is the Director of Mentoring Services at My Life, My Choice, and has been a part of our team for more than 15 years and has seen firsthand how My Life, My Choice has expanded its reach and deepened its impact over the years. And my second panelist, Tanya Morris, is our Training and Survivor Leadership Manager. She has worked one-on-one with mentees at My Life, My Choice for 7 years. She has spent countless hours supporting mentees and their families during times of joy and in times of pain. And Olivia, Olivia, I've never pronounced your middle name, Angood-Hardy. Did I say that right?
Yeah, it's just two last names, Angood-Hardy.
Okay. I knew the Olivia and Hardy. I've just never had the pleasure of saying the Angood. And Olivia coordinates with community partners and local organizations to help provide food, clothing, shelter, and gifts for our mentees all year round. So not just during the holiday season, all year long. And I also want to introduce Carolina. I'm going to say your last name wrong, and I've known you forever and ever. But Carolina is a founding board member and a longtime champion, advocate, and volunteer. They say it takes a village, and year after year, Carolina galvanizes her village to support and care for our mentees and their siblings through a gift collection initiative. And at the same time, this is a woman who is holding down a full-time job, who is Chief Strategy Officer for the University of Massachusetts. So I want to say that as well. So I'm really excited. So I'm going to start. Each of you have a different role at My Life, My Choice. What does your role look like during the holidays? So Ann, can you take a couple minutes and tell us what that looks like during the holidays for you, please?
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Audrey. For me, the holidays look like supporting the Survivor Empowerment Team, which we are, our survivor mentors, our assessment team, case management team. So my role sort of shifts and provides backup and support to the team as needed. So it could be visiting a youth, covering for a visit, or it could mean staying on the phone an extra few minutes with a mentor who's having some challenges because the holidays have also triggered them. It's supporting the case management team because they're doing amazing work, but sometimes, delivering stuff gets a little complicated, so I might have to fill in. So my role during the holidays is just sort of filling in and backing up people as needed. That's kind of what I do for the holidays, and I have a blast doing it. Thanks.
And I have to add too, Ann is like the best at crisis management. She has this beautiful smile on her face, but when crisis hits, Ann is the one to call. And we really appreciate that at My Life, My Choice. Really, I have to say that out loud. Tanya, do you want to let folks know what your role is during the holidays at My Life, My Choice?
Yeah, thanks, Audrey. So much like Ann, my role, I do a lot of supporting as well. I support a lot of the mentors on that team, but most of all, I support the mentors on that team, but I support the mentees as well. I'm there a lot of times during this time of year. They need extra support, either talking to them on the phone a lot often. We see them, I go and visit them during the week. And not just that, at My Life, My Choice, we all case management, we support one another in the things that we do as well, working one-to-one and hand-to-hand with one another.
Thank you, Tanya. Olivia.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. So like Audrey mentioned, I oversee our case management services at My Life, My Choice. And during the holidays, we definitely see an increase in needs related to case management, like housing, meeting basic needs, addressing food insecurity. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But specific to the holidays, we really get going in October and start preparing for Thanksgiving assistance, which we do for our families. Each year we provide a large bag of food and gift cards to our families who need it most. And we usually do that working with donors and local food banks, do that for about 30 to 40 families. But and then our biggest time of year is the December holidays. And that really started with Carolina, Lisa, and Audrey years ago, created this holiday gift assistance for our families. And I've been privileged enough to work on it in the last 4 or 5 years. And we work together with Carolina and her village of supporters to really provide gifts for families who wouldn't otherwise have the means to celebrate with gifts. So the way it works is our mentees are able to request specific gifts for their younger siblings, and our mentees who are parenting are able to request specific gifts for their children. And then I'll let Carolina talk in a second, but it's really kind of the spirit of it is not just about the gifts. It's oftentimes that our mentees are misunderstood and labeled as the bad kid in their families. And this allows them to kind of bring the holiday spirit and the holidays to their family. And the gifts create that moment of connection and appreciation for each other within the family. And none of it would be possible without Carolina and her leadership and the supporters that she brings to My Life, My Choice. So I can turn it over to you to speak a little bit about your role.
Yes, Carolina.
Hi, everyone. Hopefully you can hear me. I guess my role at the holidays season is to be a mix between a substitute Santa and administrator on steroids. So I'm an ambassador for the needs of these kids. I tell their story in our community, and then I help bring together and coordinate the shopping, because this is unusual in that you're not just donating money or just random gifts. People have to actually go out and source these things that have been requested. So it takes a fair amount of organization. Putting that together with closely working with the mentors at My Life, My Choice to make sure we don't burden them during this time of year. And I think in the end, being a substitute Santa is as joyful as it sounds. Not a lot of us get to do that for people other than our children. My children are getting older, so they don't really believe in Santa anymore. So I get to continue that through this program. And I think the other important role is to galvanize and kind of evangelize about these children in My Life, My Choice, which this gift drive provides us an opportunity to do.
Thank you, Carolina. Could you talk a little bit though about like the donor side and the village, like that donor side?
We all of the entire gift drive is created around people who choose to volunteer their time. So it's very, this time of year is particularly easy to get people to want to give. This is the time of year they're looking to give. So what we have done, and I was going to go into this in detail in the next there's a community of 4 women that come together with me, and they each tap into their individual community and groups of friends, and maybe their tennis partners and their book club buddies and the parents of their kids. And we put together a very large sign-up genius that gets sent out to my friends. But the important thing is to tap into as many different groups of people as possible. As a result of that, we've kind of created this incredible network in the town of Winchester, Massachusetts, where there is a lot of the town of Winchester that becomes involved in driving and putting together the needs of the response to the needs of these kids. And the donors are not people that are necessarily tied to the cause, although they always end up becoming more educated and knowledgeable about the cause. They are people who are deeply passionate about helping children. And that's the key, and that's what drives our request, is that these are, in the end, children who you're helping. It's the children of the mentees, and it's the mentees themselves who you're helping to have a moment of leadership within their families. So hopefully that gives some insight into the back working of the toy drive.
Thank you, Carolina. It's such great work. I always like to highlight that. I think that's, people needing to know how to make that happen. And I know you'll talk a little bit more about that. So what I'm going to ask now, can each of you share one of your best My Life, My Choice holiday moments? And
Okay, so I have tons of moments, but my favorite one, I think, is for my mentee, her name Trudy. She is in residential and has been in residential programs for all of her life and does not have a connection to her bio family, but her adoptive family. She's very, very close to them. And her grandparent died, and then mom found out that she had breast cancer, and then COVID hit. And dad lost his job. Mom was going through, chemo or whatever treatment for cancer. And Trudy was feeling extremely powerless, very sad, feeling like she couldn't be there for her mom. She couldn't be there for her family. They were struggling. And through us and Olivia's great work, case management, we were able to provide them with food for the Thanksgiving holiday, baskets. We were able to get gifts for Trudy's siblings, and sort of help the family with some electricity bills, some other financial hardship. They were having a really hard time. And when we offered this to the family, mom cried. She was so touched by our thinking of her and wanting to support her family. And it made us feel really good because we were feeling extremely powerless and there was nothing we could do about, her medical circumstances, but to be able to help the family was really good. And I want to also say that, in these moments, it's a team of us that work together. It's not just one of us. And so Olivia and I got to do this together, and we had music playing when we got to the family, and it was really, really a special moment. So that's one of my best stories.
thank you,
Coming
Anne.
together.
Thank you. And I want to acknowledge Anne made up a name. We don't use the real names of our kids. So just to acknowledge that, I want to be clear that we don't use the youth's name. And as I hear you speak, just reminded me, Anne, that when we're serving our kids are connected to families. You know what I mean? So I love that. Tanya, can you share one of your best My Life, My Choice holiday moments?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, Anne, just listening to Anne, it was just now bringing me back, right? And I just want to say this really quick. I remember the first time when I walked into the office and I seen all the gifts, right? And I seen bikes, car seats. I'm like, oh my God, we are really doing the damn thing. And I was just like blown away myself. And then when we did the Christmas party, I enjoy all the Christmas parties that we have at My Life, My Choice. I love when we all get together and we all have a good time with our mentees, with staff. But one of my best moments is when I had a mentee, and usually, and her sister was involved with My Life, My Choice. And first they wasn't sure if they was gonna come, and they was like, no. And then one sister said, I'm not gonna come if my sister's not gonna come. And the other sister said, no, I'm not gonna come, and she don't wanna come. And then my mentee said, I want to come, but I don't know how my sister's gonna feel if I come and she doesn't come. But anyways, to make a long story short, they both came. And they both sat at the table. I sat at the table with them. We had different activities for the mentees to do at the Christmas party. And then the music played. And I'm like, then they played some salsa music, right? And my mentee, I was like, she was like, that reminds me how we go to our parties and I dance with my family. So I asked her to show me how to salsa, because she's Spanish. So I'm like, okay, show me how you do it. And she tried to show me and tried to spin me around. I was messing up everything. So she goes, watch, me and my sister would do it. And I just see her and her sister dancing together. And that just brought tears to my eyes that they was there together, getting along, and they was dancing. And that was one of my best holiday moments, although I have other ones, but that was one of my best.
Thank you, Tanya. Thank you. Olivia.
It's really hard to pick one holiday moment to speak about. Like, there's just so many good ones that come up. I was thinking of a mentee who we supported last year. She had just turned 18 and had gotten her own apartment through DCF. She'd been in DCF most of her life. Both of her parents had passed away, and her close family support was her brother, and he had recently been locked up and put in jail. And she really didn't have much for her apartment. She had gotten it right before the holidays, and it was kind of a last minute thing, but we reached out to Carolina and said, are we able to get any decorations, anything for this mentee? She doesn't have a lot. And, as to be expected, they went above and beyond, got her decorations for her apartment, gifts for her, a gift card to get supplies for her apartment. And I think it was really powerful to see how much it meant for her. And it really allowed her to start kind of making her own traditions in a time of year when I think she was just hoping to kind of have it pass by. And for her to feel seen and cared for when I think she was hoping and expecting to go unnoticed. And it really felt, it was really powerful to see kind of the joy come to her from that.
Thank you, Olivia. Carolina.
Can I also I was just going to add, every year, Anne and I have the best time getting all the gifts ready. We play music together, we get dressed up. That's also a favorite.
Oh, nice. Carolina.
So I have, I'm very selfish. Favorite memory is last year, I have to say. And so to stage set, last year we helped, I think 31 families, something like 100 plus kids. For each of these kids, we shop for 3 presents for each of them. So it's a ton of presents. My basement, which last year looked like Satan's den, was full to the brim of so if you can imagine this dark, holy place, full to the brim of gifts that are difficult to get organized. And we were in the middle of COVID. And so nobody had seen anybody for forever. And the way it happens, up until this past year, I usually deliver the presents to My Life, My Choice. But because we were in COVID, My Life, My Choice organized this massive caravan of a gift pickup, which had all of my favorite people in the world driving through essentially a snowstorm, dressed up like Santa and Santa's elves, bearing cookies with candy canes, come to Santa's helpers coming to the devil's den to pick up like a million gifts. And it was the juxtaposition of that whole thing and the sheer joy, not only of, first of all, seeing people because it was COVID and we hadn't seen anyone in forever, but just like seeing like the surprise of the, bikes and diapers and I don't know, helmets and all these things being loaded into the cars. And it just creates so much sheer joy to know that you are about to deliver Christmas to someone and you're seeing the person who's going to do that. It's hard to put that into words. But then if I take my totally selfish hat off, I think one of my favorite ongoing memories that get made on a regular basis is every time someone picks a gift off the sign up sheet. And then I get a call when they pick up several gifts for a child. Usually they pick up everything that a child wants, and they say, you know, I decided this was the opportunity to talk to my daughter or my son about how privileged they are and how much they can help. And they've decided they're going to donate their money. They're going to pick out the presents. They're going to wrap the presents. And it's this concept of opening eyes and making a difference in children. So it's the next generation of children with privilege growing up with a better understanding of what their world looks like. So I love that memory too. I went over.
No, thank you, Caroline. I'm glad you didn't talk about me slipping and sliding in your yard and couldn't see out my back window. I had so much stuff in my car, but that's another conversation. Oh my goodness, so fun, but so fun. Olivia, you know, and we're here too today to talk about the good and the struggles, right? Olivia, can you tell us about some of the struggles our mentees face this time of year?
Yeah, a lot comes up for our mentees this time of year. I think a lot comes up for most people this time of year. There's this social pressure of a picture perfect family who you feel connected to and comes together over lots of food and a really big, nice, fully decorated house. And I think for so many of our mentees, it's a reminder of what doesn't exist at home and their family. A lot of our mentees, you know, a big risk factor for exploitation is a lack of support and engagement with caregivers and family. So family is a really tough thing for a lot of our mentees, and this time of year is a big reminder of that. And with family coming together, not all family members have been safe for our mentees too. So there's that piece. And again, for so many people, but especially our mentees, I think this is a time of year where there's a reminder of loved ones that have been lost, especially in the past 2 years with the pandemic. So that can be really difficult. And then just the physical needs of so many of our mentees don't have stable housing. They're bouncing around between different places. They're experiencing food insecurity. They don't have stable meals. I think something that I love about how we do this gift drive is that we ask for 3 needs and 3 wants. And you'll see that a lot of our mentees are just asking for like winter coats and underwear and basic needs supplies. And Caroline and her team has been really great about making sure that they also request gifts because they get their basic needs met as well as things that they just want. We also see our parenting mentees really, I mean, it's a all year thing to be meeting the needs of small children, obviously, but just really wanting to go above and beyond for their kids and not always having the means to do so. And trying to give their their kids what they didn't have as children, and creating a different, just different memories for their kids, which is really beautiful, but can also be hard for them, I think. And then just from like a clinical lens, we definitely see a lot coming up for our mentees and their mental health. There's definitely an increase in depression and anxiety, substance use. Again, this is like an all year thing, but particularly heightened in this holiday time is like the PTSD symptoms and reminders of trauma that come up. And I think with the experience of exploitation and trafficking, part of that is feeling alone and isolated in your trauma. And that can be exacerbated by the holidays for some. So it can be tough. And we don't want to ignore that in how we're approaching the holidays.
Thank you, Olivia, for breaking that down. And, you know, I want to hear from Ann and Tanya, who work very closely with mentees. And I'll start with you. What do the holidays look like for the youth, and why are they, aside from what Olivia said, just why are they hard for, you know, maybe a mentee that you serve?
Yeah, it can be particularly challenging, and and I will describe a family. It's hard because, you know, life happens and things just sort of dash their dreams. So for example, I had a mentee, her name is Mickey, and she's an adult now, but for most of her life, she had never been able to be reunited with her mom and spend time with her family. She just wasn't able to do that from about the age of 12 until she was about 18 years old. And she finally was able to reunite with her mom right around the holidays. She was really excited to be with her mom and her little sister, you know, all in one house. She had this, you know, idea and this fantasy that they would be together. And she finally got to be with them. And mom is a person who was recovering from substance use, and mom relapsed. And as a result of mom's relapse, Mickey was displaced once again. Her little sister was placed in the custody of DCF. And I think it happened, Olivia, and again, we're a team, right? So Olivia's case management, along with Amy, who provided clinical support services to Mickey. We had to sort of get to her, get her stuff. One of the things that also happens is when you're a child who's been exploited and you've been through things, the little material things and the little bit of clothing and things that you have, you hold on to them. And although this was an emergency situation and we had to go and get her, she refused to come without bringing all of her things with her. So picture a Friday night, you know, right before Thanksgiving, driving out, getting her stuff, going to put it in our storage, and then transporting her to somewhere safe. And the sadness of that, and the powerlessness she felt, and the fact that she was really distraught that she could not take her little sister with her, and that she was not able to provide a safe place for her, and had a lot of guilt and shame about that. And so we had to also quickly figure out what to do. We got a Thanksgiving basket to go with her to the family that she went to stay with, and try to give them some sense of celebration for the holidays, and also provide Christmas gifts for her little sister and stuff like that. So it can be very challenging and very traumatic for our youth.
Thank you so much. And I felt you, I remember that, you know. Tanya.
Yes. So when I think about the mentees that we serve and work with in the holidays, and talking with my mentees, like Christmas time is supposed to be like a joyous time, right? And you think about having your family, decorating the tree, playing Christmas music, baking cookies and doing certain things like that. And I think about my mentees who are in programs, and they don't have that. They go without having a mom or a dad or a aunt, uncle, a family member where they can sit around and decorate the tree and exchange gifts on Christmas mornings. And they're in programs, and they just want to be home. They want that family life. And the mentees that I talk to, they tell me that when we help, the gifts that we help them with, and it helps them to get a more connection with their family, because they're already being looked at as an outsider, and always like the black sheep in the family, causing problems, always in trouble or something like that. So they think about those things, and by us giving the gifts and helping them out, it's hard for them because they're not able to work, have jobs, to buy gifts for their families and do certain things that they really want to do. So it makes it hard for them to want for that connection. And by us helping them, it gives them that little bit of hope of having that family and being able to be a part of, and especially being part of a family. And that's one of the good things about being a mentor and working with the mentees that we work with, is offering that little bit of hope in the times that they're having it hard.
I just so appreciate the survivor leadership at My Life, My Choice. And with that said, Tanya, can you share the story about what it's like helping families during the holidays last year. Can you share with people the story about the Christmas tree?
Yes, I was assigned a young lady, and I remember this the first time I was going to see her, and I got to the address, and I'm looking, I'm like, okay, just take a deep breath. So I went in, I walked up the stairs, and I walked in the house, and I met her, and we sat down and we was talking. And as I went to the back to meet her mom, I looked around the house, and it was around Christmas time, and there was no life of Christmas, no spirit of holiday. It was sad. There was no curtains. It was just like a crate there, like as a table with a board over it. And I'm just like, oh my God, I'm like, this is Christmas time. And I'm like, and I said to her, I said, you guys don't have a tree? She goes, no, we don't. And my heart just dropped. And I'm like, this family has nothing. So I get on the phone. I don't know if I call, I don't know if I call Olivia or my supervisor. And I was like, I was in tears. I literally was in tears. And I'm like, this family don't have anything. They don't even have a tree. There's no life of Christmas, of the holidays of joy and laughter. It was nothing in this home. And I was like, we need to get a tree for them. And if I'll spend my own money. I don't care what I have to do. And I think it was Olivia that we worked together. And Olivia went right out and instantly got the tree, got all kinds of decorations for the tree. I mean, Olivia, she went above and beyond. Like it was enough to decorate the whole living room, like honestly. And she got this, and on top of that, we was able to get gifts for the family. But when I went back afterwards and I walked in the living room, I saw the life of Christmas. I saw even though they didn't have much, at least they had a tree in their living room, and they was able to, the gifts that we provided, they was able to have gifts underneath the tree. So, which was a real good moment for me. That made me feel good.
That's amazing, Tanya. And just to acknowledge that it was their first Christmas tree.
Absolutely.
Not that that was just a bad year and they didn't have one that year. This is their first Christmas tree. So I want to acknowledge that. All right, Olivia and Carolina, but Olivia, I'll start with you. Can you talk about what makes up the My Life, My Choice village or support system, and then turn it over to Carolina?
Yeah, absolutely. So it takes a village to pull all this off, and it starts on the My Life, My Choice team. I think we're talking a lot about mentors and case managers, and I think the bulk of the work does fall on those teams, but everyone in every department helps out around the holidays and supports our families. And it takes every single one of us. We're driving all around Eastern Massachusetts in our holiday attire. One of our coworkers, Nikki, dresses as Santa. And so all of us gets involved, and I know we love that. But yeah, so it takes case managers and mentors working with families and mentees to kind of figure out what specific needs those families have. We want to make sure that we're seeing the family as a whole, not just one child, and that we're meeting those individualized needs and not just seeing it as a blanket support. And I think it wouldn't be possible without Carolina and her team of supporters. And I do want to acknowledge that a lot of agencies don't have the capacity or the depth of supporters to bring, to reach out to bring such a amazing, powerful holiday time. And so I think Carolina can speak a little bit about how we cultivated that, but we've been able to reach out to lots of different people. So for Thanksgiving, we reach out to local food banks, and we have other donors who give us gift cards to put in the bags. And so we really focus on kind of developing those partnerships within different communities, where I think it's a blessing and a curse that we serve so many communities. It's a lot of communities to be connected within, but it means that we have so many wonderful supporters. So reaching out to those people, and kind of we've over the years developed different traditions for Thanksgiving. We have people who have offered to donate us 30 turkeys. We've done turkeys in the past. We do food, gift cards. And then for the holiday time, we work with Carolina, and who like she's mentioned, brings the whole village herself of incredible people who really just show up with such thoughtfulness and willingness to go above and beyond. So I'll let Carolina speak to how she kind of brings people together in that sense.
Thank you. And Carolina, I just want to acknowledge before you go, that I want to acknowledge that Carolina was our first board chair. I think she probably was the first person to even mention that you should have a board. So could you really talk about that, like the board, you talked a little bit about the volunteers and corporate partners?
I did. I met Lisa at an event and was so impressed with the work that Lisa and Audrey were doing that I became a stalker, and over a period of time convinced Lisa that it would be a good idea if she had more support and helped bring together a group of really people that I knew and respected to become the first board, which obviously has evolved massively into the board of advisors that's present today. But I've been involved with My Life, My Choice so my kids weren't born, were just born, so they're turning 13, so 13 years. And I think that it's these networks that you build, it's the group of people that you're close to as friends, that ultimately become your board members and supporters. It's the corporate partners that perhaps you have relationships with if you're in the business world, that you start to build inroads to in order to develop support for an organization like My Life, My Choice. And it's actually the people who are passionate about the issues that My Life Choice serves that together can coalesce to form the fabric of support that you need this time of year to pull off something like this gift drive. And a couple of things. First is we didn't start with 100 kids. It was me and one family, and I did it on my own, and I might even have gotten yelled at. I'm not quite sure because at the time we weren't making, I don't think we were supposed to be doing that. But then over time, My Life, My Choice was growing. My Life, My Choice was changing, and we began to develop how and what bringing something like this to My Life, My Choice actually could empower the girls, not just make them feel like they were someone that needed charity, if you will, but something that actually allowed us to elevate them. And it was when we found that nexus, the idea that they were themselves, first of all, these are curated families that aren't getting a ton of services from other places, but that they themselves could become champions for their family. That really was a huge opening for us, because then this really made sense in a completely different way. And so then it was about going out, and we couldn't just go out and source thousands of dollars, even if I had the power to do that. That wasn't going to work, because what we needed was these specific gifts and people willing to go out and buy the right size bike or buy the right size coat for the kids that needed it. Over time, that the gift drive, which now serves 30 families, evolved so that it actually also included the mentees. At one point, we weren't buying the mentees gifts, and that was actually a decision that evolved over time too. The recognition that the mentees at this time of year also get to be children, right? They shouldn't just be heroes, being leaders for their family, but somewhere in there's also a kid who believed in Santa up until probably like 6 months ago, and gets to have Santa come to their door as well. And then just very, very quickly, because I think I'm over on my time, we put together, like I said, a lot of people who are really passionate about Christmas and are really passionate about children. And we bring them together to give at a time of year when they're willing to give. And we do it the old fashioned way. It takes a lot of hard work, sign up genius, matching, it's just organizationally, it's just a lift, but it's worth it.
Thank you, Carolina, and we appreciate the work that you do. And I'm sitting here thinking about how long you've been with My Life, My Choice, and from just mentoring, and it takes me back to, like, it didn't start even at our organization. I'm saying this for organizations who are saying, oh my God, we don't have the capacity to make this happen. I want to acknowledge that it started with a soul food night. It started with a conversation Ann and I had around how do we appreciate the mentees, right? Because we had learned so much from them as well. You know what I mean? They had given us, you're out there helping youth, and you realize, how much we had grown through helping them. And it makes me think about this. It was like in October, like before the holidays, before the agency really grew to what we're talking about today. And we talked about, like, what can we do? We're like, okay, we can't do it in September, let the kids get settled in school, but we want to do something nice for them. And we did a soul food night. And what that night just consisted of was the staff made dinner for the youth and had them come to the program, and we served them, it was, really nice. That's how we started bringing community together. But since that time, and can you walk us through, like, that was how we started our soul food night and cooking for our youth. Walk us through from there to present.
Yeah, that the soul food dinner night was a really cool idea. And I hope I get the timing right. There's so much that we've done over time. And I think when we were smaller, we had the soul food night, but I remember a stylist wanting to help us, and we were able to. Do you remember the youth got their hair done? They got little makeovers, and people volunteered to help us with that. I remember, I want to say some sort of church group did a pampering day and did their nails and their feet and these different things and gave them little bags. And I think we've always worked really hard to make sure that our youth knew that we saw them, right? And that we valued them. And that I remember, Audrey, before even soul food, we would take kids out to eat. And it wasn't about the food so much as it was about the bringing them together and sharing an experience. And for a lot of those kids, if you remember, Audrey, they had never even been to a restaurant before. And so we were having experiences with them that they never had. But one time that I really think about, that I highlight, that really warmed my heart was, and back in the day, we weren't as, I'll say, boundaried as we are now. So we realized that there was a group of kids, we realized that we had this group of youth that weren't going home. They didn't have anybody for the holidays, right? And so Audrey, myself, and our director of development, Nancy, right? We got together and we took these kids out the day after the Christmas holiday. We took them to the movies, and that's when movies were first starting to do the dine-in thing where you could order something to eat. And we took them and we did that, and they were so over the moon and felt so special. And those are the things that make the holidays, that's what makes My Life, My Choice who we are. Like, we really care, and we wanted to bring joy in a way that just says, hey, we know this is difficult for you, and I know it's only a few hours, but they were so over the moon about it. And we were too. I mean, Audrey kind of tries to say she's the Grinch, but she was really into the whole holiday spirit. And I think that by providing that joy and the simple little things that we do, and taking the time to think about, what does that mean to them? When we did the holiday, when we do the soul food dinner and we serve them and we remind them, and leadership core now, we've grown. I don't want to go to my next. Am I on the right? Yeah, I don't want to go too far too fast.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but and when you were sharing, I want people to, when we really thought of that, and that was some years in that we realized, it's school vacation week, the day after Christmas, it's school, other kids are not just went home for one day, for that holiday, and then came back to the program. Kids were leaving the program for the whole week.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so we had to acknowledge the youth, and we focus on, when we did that, we focus on youth that were, of course, in programs, because if they're
Right.
not in programs, they're home with their families, right?
Right.
And we had such a good time. So again, it doesn't have to be this big elaborate thing, right?
Yeah.
But with that said, and just to take you hostage a little bit more, you know, like you're so good at helping our survivor staff as well, especially during the holidays, you know, because we also have to talk about the survivor leaders,
Mhm.
this, you know, our survivor staff, who have been exploited themselves.
Mhm.
Can you kind of share a little bit with folks how you support, as a survivor leader and director of mentoring at My Life, My Choice?
Mhm.
Kind of talk about how you support our survivor staff who struggle during the holidays.
Right. Uh-oh. Oh, I hit the wrong button. Sorry. Not too good with the tech stuff. Good save. I think a first thing I want to say too is that, you know, again, we're a team, and so nothing happens that we don't work it together. You know, Audrey so eloquently is saying, what do you do? But Audrey's a major part of our survivor only MPD that we host every year, that we bring all survivors. We all come together and we talk about like what the holidays are like for us. And we do want to highlight our survivor leaders, because doing this work at this time is also challenging for them. So in the survivor only MPD, we focus on them and their needs and what they want. Most recently this year, we just had one last week and we had a whole lot of fun. We talked about the challenges. We talked about our self-care and what we could do to take care of ourselves. We all gave cards to each other with very special affirming messages, which was a beautiful thing. And we also had a Yankee swap where we had a whole lot of fun and a whole lot of laughter. And I think that over the years, we've just realized how important it is to just provide a space for our survivors, to acknowledge them, to let them know that we see them, that we appreciate so much what they do and what we do. So I'm saying they, but as a survivor too, it feels really good to work for an agency that also acknowledges that this could be a challenging time for us and that we can come together and have a lot of laughter and sort of be there for each other. I think it's really important. We've also, you know, at different challenges, some of our survivors have had many losses or needed to take, you know, extended leaves, and we've been there for them to cover for them and just sort of do what we do. So I think that's, you know, I think that's pretty much it. Did I cover it? Did I get it?
Yes, you did. Thank you so
All
much,
right.
Ann. We have so much and we're running out of time. And Carolina, you kind of answered the next two questions. And because we are short for time, I'm going to jump over to Tanya. You've had many mentees benefit from the gift drive Carolina coordinates. Can you give us an example of the impact it has on our young people? And remember the doll example? Could you share that story really quickly?
Yes, I remember that. I had a mentee, and she was just the best mentee, and she was seen as having like a tough exterior, like she was tough, like, you know, she doesn't cry in front of people and things like that. So she was telling me that she remembered that one day that she left home and she had her little sister's Elsa doll. And when she left, she was gone for a few days. And when she came back home, she didn't have the Elsa doll, and the little sister was looking for her Elsa doll. And she told her sister, "Oh, I'll get it. I have to go back to my friend's house." And she said she would make up different things to tell her that she'll go back and get the Elsa doll. So she was, so when I was telling her about the gifts and how we do the Christmas help, she said one of the things that she really wanted to do and get for her sister was an Elsa doll. And she said that would really, it had to be, make sure it was covered in blue. Because she said, because her sister remembers the details on the doll and everything. And she said one of the things that she wanted to do was get that Elsa doll for her little sister. So when she seen her sister, she was in a program and they was all separated. So she said at least around that time of Christmas, she can present her sister with that Elsa doll. And that was one of the good moments where she was like brought joy to her to able to give her sister that Elsa doll for Christmas.
Thank you, Tanya. And just to kind of talk a little bit about, we also, COVID has gotten in the way of so many things. I'm sure that's not just a my life, my choice struggle. But during COVID, we've had last year and this year, we've had to have our holiday party virtually. And last year, it was so fun. If you haven't done a virtual holiday party, do one. We were able to you can get a photo booth where they can take photos with you can have a theme. I came as the Grinch. Oh, I had a wonderful, I had the full Grinch costume. It was fabulous. Santa came, Mrs. Claus came. And so that's something that you could do as well. We definitely like to have them in person, but our virtual, we're having our party this on Thursday. We're really excited about it. We threw some trivia games in, just a good time, some good music, and we had a great time. The kids did not want to leave the virtual holiday party. But with that said, Ann, real quickly, because we are running low on time, could you just let folks know what we do in person when we have our holiday party?
So our in-person holiday party is so much fun. It starts with, again, we're dressed in holiday attire. We're all, got our little stuff on, our ugly sweaters or whatever theme we have. We decorate the space really festive. And our leadership core and board members are involved. Leadership core, they will welcome. Leadership core is our mentees who are participating in our leadership core. They will welcome the mentees coming in. They'll go around and talk to them one-on-one. Board members are involved and volunteers. They serve food. We have Nick, who dresses as Santa, and Sherelle plays Mrs. Claus, and then we have a couple of leadership core members who are elves, who then give out gifts to everyone. We serve food to them, like I said, and we have an in-person photo booth with props, and they get to take pictures and all that kind of thing. They can build a gingerbread house. They can decorate ornaments. There's a lot of music. We dance. They're like, we're so annoying because we're dancing and doing what they call us old people, but we have a lot of fun coming together and celebrating the holidays. We really do. Did I do it fast enough?
Thank you, Ann. I'm sorry. I mean, there's so much good stuff. Carolina, question for you. After being with our organization for so many years, what keeps you involved?
Two things. One is the amazing people who run the organization. I mean, these women are phenomenal. So the inspiration they provide on a regular basis is part of it. I think that's the biggest factor. But, this gift drive is a huge part for me of what I do that makes it feel like it's really personal. I have a very clear recollection of when I was 9 years old, not having holiday presents, like very clear. And so when I walked into a house for one of our young mentees, who at the time was 15, had recently had a baby, long trafficking story, but we had to get the baby back. It was born out under a different name in New York. And so I was involved, I'm a lawyer, involved in getting the baby back. And I went to visit her to make sure she was okay right around Christmas time with my twin, at the time, 2-year-old boys. And I walk in and there's this 16-year-old girl with this newborn baby and a mom who's not much older and a 5-year-old brother and a 3-year-old brother, and the kids are crying. The house was just, in need of help. And I asked her why her brother was crying. And she said he doesn't stop crying all day because he says there's no tree, and that clearly means Santa's not coming. And so I left that house like Tanya did. I never even called Lisa to ask for permission. There was a Target around the corner. I went to Target. I got a Christmas tree. I got decorations. I got gifts. I brought it all over. And then I called Lisa and asked for forgiveness. And And that's what keeps me involved, because I know that because all this community is here and because these women put the effort into it, we support the mentors because it's a little easier if you're making the time of the mentees happier. And then there's some more kids out there who are not going to not have Christmas gifts. So that keeps me involved.
Thank you so much. We have like 2 minutes. I want to just say that making time after you heard all the great work that everyone's doing, you know, making time, you have to make time for yourselves after you've been helpful to others. So I want to say that out loud. And just real quickly, Olivia, then Tanya, then Ann, what do you do for self-care? Name one quick thing, 1 or 2 quick things.
I can jump in first. I think it's really important for me professionally and personally to reach out for help. And like we've talked about in this time, this is impossible to do, but just 1 or 2 people. I see one of our amazing case managers, Stephanie Judith, is on the call. She's been holding it down this year with the holiday season. I'm on the phone with Carolina and Ann and Stephanie Judith all day long during this time. And it's really a team effort. And I need to be able to do it and take care of myself. I need to rely on my team.
Thank you. Ann, real quick.
Oh, I get a lot of rest. I get a lot of rest to make sure I'm charged. I don't put a lot on my plate. It's holiday time. I got to focus, make sure I breathe and drink a whole lot of water.
Thank you. Tanya, real quick.
Yes, I take care of myself. I do the work that I do, and then I come home to my own family. And my daughter keeps me grounded. She keeps me busy. She's 15. We bake cookies. She keeps me out of the bed. So she helps me stay grounded and remember that self-care is so important.
Carolina, self-care, my darling. What do you do after all that organizing?
This is part of my self-care from my other job, but I switched straight from this to birthdays for my husband, and my 2 kids all have birthdays on the same day. Right after that, I go get some massages, get my nails done, and do a little shopping for me, because that's my self-care time.
Yes. Listen, I want to thank my fabulous panel. Carolina, thank you for all your support. I want to thank everyone who's been showing up for our webinars. I'll keep you posted. Next 2022, we will be celebrating 20 years, and I will be hosting a webinar on prevention, because our prevention efforts have been around for 20 years. So stay tuned. Happy holidays to everyone, and thank everyone for attending. Have a great holiday season.